Mr. Kurtz is absent. Mr. Strollo is here. Mr. Natali. Mr. Judisco.
Here.
Mr. Dawson. Mr. Carderas.
Here.
Mr. Linder.
Here.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Mercado.
Here.
Alternates, Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Selmont.
Hello.
Ms. Downs. We have a quorum.
Okay. We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to the public hearing, June 14th, 2021. Couple other rules. If you need to speak to each other, it echoes in here. So if you need to talk to somebody, just go in the back, in the room in the back, like in the hallway, and then you can speak to each other. Just not to disturb the rest of the meeting. The first order of business is going to be the special permit application of Cordia A. Smart.
Special permit application of Cordia A. Smart, 20 Mountain View Terrace, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, to be a cottage food operator, property located at 20 Mountain View Terrace, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, as generally shown on Assessor's Map number 50, lot number 274, in an R20 zone.
Okay, who's the applicant? Please come on up and come to the podium and actually give your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Cordia Smart, 20 Mountain View Terrace, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410.
Okay, and you're wishing to tell us what you're here for.
Oh, sorry. I'm here to get a permit from the town of Cheshire to
Yep.
use my kitchen to make brownies and cake pops and chocolate that I will be selling online.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for this applicant?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, very
Yes.
simple application. We've done a few of these recently. It's a home occupation. How you doing, Cordy? We did talk on the telephone. How you doing?
All right.
And it's very simple, straightforward, and making no improvements to the house. She's going to do it out of her existing kitchen. We have no comments from any other agencies, and she's all ready to go. So,
Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Mercado.
The only deliveries are going to be from like Amazon or UPS, that kind of stuff. There's no people coming to your house.
So you're not allowed to ship to people? It's in person, so I'll be delivering to people.
But they're not coming to your house to
I don't-
buy anything?
No.
So you're going to be delivering on the road?
Yep.
Do you have to buy like a bigger box truck or van, or you're just going to be, no?
It's me. Like
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
I hope
Okay.
if I get that big, that would be wonderful. Then I'll be like sugar, and I'll have a company. But no, it's just me.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mr. Dawson?
Have you discussed it with the Chesapeake Health District?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
they recommended.
that's fine.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other question from commission members? No? Anyone from the public wish to ask any questions or make any comments on this application? Anyone from the public? Please come forward. You have to come right to the podium, please. Give your name and address for the record, please.
Jackie Trustee, 316.
Yes. Could you come? Yeah, your name and address, and so we could hear it.
Jackie Trustee, JACQUI, Trustee, TRUSTY. So
And your address?
316 Sir Walter Drive.
46 what?
316 Sir Walter Drive.
And all I ask is, can you please put that on the Cheshire Forum? The
Okay.
Cheshire Forum, so that we all know how to get hold of you.
I have a website.
Cheshire Forum. Put it on the Cheshire
Okay.
Forum. We're
Okay.
all on it.
Okay.
You can tell me how to get on there.
I will.
Okay.
they can't carry on a private conversation.
All right. Is there anyone else with any comments about this application? You want to come up? Okay, go ahead.
If I may,
Yep.
gee, I wish you could have been on the first floor.
Okay.
So my name is Noel Richard, and I live on the corner of Highland Avenue
Okay.
and Mountain View Terrace,
Yep.
adjacent to Cordia's home.
Okay.
And I just been impressed by her and her family
Yep.
throughout knowing them since about 2015 you moved in or so. And it's a woman of strong principles and high values. And I would urge your, not only your consideration, but your vote in support of her application.
I appreciate you coming and saying that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Excuse
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in favor? Okay. Any more comments? Okay. I think we're pretty good. That was a good endorsement. Okay. We're going to close this public hearing. Move on to the next one. Thank you. All right. Special permit application of Patterson Brothers Construction, 389 Charles Drive for accessory apartment.
The special permit application of Pattison Brothers Construction LLC, care of 325 Harrison Road, Wallingford, Connecticut 06492, and an accessory apartment property located at 389 Charles Drive, Cheshire, Connecticut 06410, as generally shown on Assessor's Map number 73, lot number 1 in an R40 zone.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Oh, hold on one second. Go ahead.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I have a comment from the Cheshire Fire Department reading to the record on this one.
Okay. Before he goes, go ahead.
This is dated June 10th, 2021. The fire department has reviewed the above application for the planning and zoning process. We recommend the following comments and stipulations. One is a fire alarm system shall be installed so that occupants of both dwelling units are notified of a smoke or fire condition in the other.
Thank you. Did you hear that?
Would that be a monitored fire alarm system?
Get a hold of the fire marshal, explain to you what he wants. He just wants it when it goes off in one, it goes off in the other, whether they're hardwired together. That's whatever your choice is, but that would be approved by the fire marshal, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Name and address for the record.
Mike Pattison, 1270 Mount Vernon Road, Southington.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Okay.
Here today to discuss the application for an accessory apartment at 389 Charles Drive for Cliff and Kathy Gilman.
Okay.
They're looking to build an accessory apartment at the rear of the existing two-car garage, adding a new construction single-car garage to the end, and then 625 or so square feet off the rear. They're going to join the two living spaces together in the rear over the existing deck as an airlock or mudroom entry. That would join the two conditioned spaces together.
Okay. Are there any questions from Mr. Ricardo?
So that it's already existing, the apartment?
No, this is going to be
New
is to be
construction.
built.
Mr. Bowman.
On the proposal here that we received from staff, it said that you are served by public water and sewer.
Yes, it's on septic.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, that's an error. It's a
It says sewer.
No,
so
that's my mistake. It's a septic system in the back of the house.
Okay, all right, I just want it,
Yeah, and it was
Clarified.
approved by Chespercott.
okay,
This has been approved by Chespercott. Yeah.
so it is city water.
City, it's well and septic. Well and septic.
Okay. No,
We're gonna be all
Bill,
right,
I'm not
right?
trying to,
We're gonna be all right, right?
yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're fine. I just want it clarified that,
Yeah.
of exactly what it is. Well, there's no, sewer will become available, but there's certainly no water there.
Okay.
No.
Any other questions from commission members?
It says there was a plan included. Do we have a copy of that? Is it missed?
I thought the plan was there.
It says plan is included for reference. Do we have?
We
you
should have received it in some form or another, but there's a floor plan, which you should have received, so. Total square footage is 624 square feet, so.
Is there anyone else wishing to comment on this application? It's before us right now. Anyone else? Public? Okay. Nothing? Anybody else? Okay. We're gonna be, yeah, no plan. Yeah, I mean, it's just an add-on, just an add-on. Okay.
All right.
We're good. Thank you. I'm gonna close out public hearing. All right, so we're gonna pause right now, everyone, and we're gonna, yes. We're gonna recess the public hearing. We're gonna vote on it. Okay? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Unanimous. Okay, we're gonna go into the meeting. Okay, we're gonna start with the meeting, right? All right, hold on. I'm gonna call the order of the meeting for June 14th. Go ahead. Do we have anything to read in? Huh? Regular meeting. No, let's do the minutes, everything. We're gonna do that right now. We're gonna do everything.
To approve the minutes from the last public hearing. Sorry, Matt. Getting used to it again. Sorry, being in public. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting and the public hearing
Okay.
from last 2 weeks
Mr.
ago.
Talley, second by Mr. Kaderis. Any discussion on the minutes? No? Okay, all those in favor of the minutes as they are, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, unanimous. Mark a record. Okay. And we're gonna vote on Mrs. Smart. Yeah, Mrs. Smart first. Okay. Yeah, we'll just use you for it now. You're up here, so. Okay. Read the pro. Go ahead. Read it in. Oh, you have it? Oh, sorry, Bill.
Motions for 20 Mountain View Terrace, special permit application for a cottage food operator. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission find that the proposal to operate a cottage food establishment is consistent with the requirements of Section 30 Schedule A, Item 18B, the Cheshire zoning regulations governing home enterprises, and hereby approve this application.
Move staff wording.
So I got Woody saying move steps where it says one, and who's backing it up? And Mr. Gutierrez is backing it up. So Mr. Dawson, Mr. Gutierrez. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Just want to thank you for coming and wish you good luck. And if anybody goes online and looks at the documentation on the backside, we received a copy of a recipe that looks pretty good. So good luck.
Could have sold the last stuff tonight, I guess. Mr. Desco.
Yeah, this seems consistent with the number of similar applications you've had over the last several months. I think it should be approved.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
I just want to say, I like when these cottage food applications come in. I wish you luck. Looks very yummy.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the application as it is, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, thank you. Mrs. Smart, you're all set. You're all set. Thank you. Okay, number 2, special permit application of Patterson Brothers.
389 Charles Drive, special permit for an accessory apartment. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission find that the proposal to establish an accessory apartment is shown on plans provided by the applicant at 389 Charles Drive is consistent with the requirements set forth within Section 30 Schedule A, Item 5 of the Cheshire zoning regulations, and hereby approve this application conditioned upon compliance with comments from the Cheshire Fire Department dated June 10th, 2021.
Move staff wording.
Second by Mr. Dawson and Mr. Kaderis again. Discussion? I know, you guys are bad tonight. Mr. Bowman, go ahead. You're on the trigger, no? Anything else? No? Okay. All those in favor of the application as it is? What was
Aye.
that? Oh, you're going to vote too? Yeah, I'm just going to keep you up here. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Unanimous again. Okay. All right. Now we have to adjourn. I need a motion. Okay, Mr. Dawson.
Adjourn or recess?
Second.
I'm sorry, are we adjourning or recessing?
No, we're adjourning. Yes. Yes, they'll not be voted on. Okay, so by Mr. Dawson and Mr. Bowman. I thought I was giving it to you. Okay. All right, and now we're going to reopen the public hearing.
Want to vote on that motion?
Motion to reopen the public hearing. No? We're good? Okay, then we're good. Okay, now some ground rules. There's a lot of people here, and we're only allowed to have 60 people in this room. So if anyone was here for another application, I mean, even though we like you, please leave. So we have room. If there's anyone, like I said before, if you have to have a discussion or something, please go in the back so everybody could hear. Anyone that's coming up to the podium, please give me your name and address for the record. Please speak clearly so we could get it on the record. Please, because there's so many people here, 3 minutes on what you're saying so we don't run into time. And we're going to stop the meeting at 10 o'clock. We're going to have another public hearing on the 28th for this application also, so it's going to be continued to then. And if you don't get to go tonight, by any chance, you'll get to say something on the 28th. So if there's any questions, let's hear what the application is, and then we'll go from there and try and educate who's out there. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Yes,
do
Mr.
do we have a count? Do we know how many people are in the room? Should we take a count?
Everybody's moving around, so let's I mean, if everybody, how many chairs are empty right now?
None.
None? There's no chairs empty?
One.
Yeah, one. So if somebody sits in that chair, and then there's another chair up here that's empty. So if I don't sit through there, now how many chairs were inside? 40? 40. So 10, 20. So if we have maybe, I'd say 10 people in the back, whoever's in the back that's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, so you get maybe like whoever could go back a little bit farther into the hallway, huh? You have 21 in the back? We're gonna pick a straw or what? I mean, all right, we'll roll with it for now. Okay. We're gonna start with the call number 3.
Mr. Chair, are we calling any of these together, or are they all going separate?
We're gonna go
All together?
all together.
Okay. Bear with me, it's going to take a couple minutes.
Yep.
The zone change petition of Lovely Development, Inc., care of Anthony J. Fazone Esquire, Fazone, Ryan, and Merchuti, LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, from R40 to age-restricted overlay, property located at 648 Wallingford Road, as generally shown on Assessor's Map number 66, lots number 13 and 14 in the R40 zone. Legal description available for review in the Planning Office, 84 South Main Street, Cheshire, Connecticut, on the town website under virtual documents. The application for preliminary development plan of Lovely Development, Inc., care of Anthony J. Fazone Esquire, Fazone, Ryan, and Merchuti, LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, for an age-restricted planned residential development, property located at 648 Wallingford Road, as generally shown on Assessor's Map number 66, lots number 13 and 14 in the R40 zone. Earth removal, filling, and regrading permit of Lovely Development, Inc., care of Anthony J. Fazone Esquire, Fazone, Ryan, and Merchuti, LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. Waiver request per 25.3.2, subsection 9, under section 25.5 for an age-restricted planned residential development. Property located at 648 Wallingford Road is generally shown on Assessor's Map number 66, lots number 13 and 14 in an R40 zone. Number 6, the special permit application of Lovely Development, Inc., care of Anthony J. Fazone Esquire, Fazone, Ryan, and Merchuti, LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, for an age-restricted planned residential development pursuant to section 43.4 of the zoning regulations. Property located at 648 Wallingford Road is generally shown on Assessor's Map number 66, lots number 13 and 14 in an R40 zone. And lastly, the final development site plan application of Lovely Development, Inc., care of Anthony J. Fazone Esquire, Fazone, Ryan, and Merchuti, LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, for an age-restricted planned residential development pursuant to section 43.4 of the zoning regulations. Property located at 648 Wallingford Road is generally shown on Assessor's Map number 66, lots number 13 and 14 in an R40 zone.
Mr. Fazone.
For the record, my name is Anthony Fazzone. I'm an attorney here in Cheshire of the law firm of Fazzone, Ryan, and Ricciuti. And with me tonight, you'll hear from, we have someone to address the engineering and site plan details. We have someone to go through the somewhat of a market analysis, and we have a traffic report to go through. But first, I'm going to start talking about the background and the process for this. And it's basically, it's an application for a planned residential development. Those words are defined in the zoning regulations, and they're defined as a planned residential development designed to meet the needs and requirements of an active adult community, where at least one adult occupant of each dwelling unit is 55 years of age or older, and there is no permanent resident under the age of 21 years. The regulation itself, section 43.4, speaks about the purposes of the regulation. And I think for the record, I think it's important to read that section in public to hear it if they haven't seen it. And it says that the purpose of this section is to provide for the construction of alternative housing types to meet the needs of those aged 55 and older, while recognizing that such housing has less impact than other higher density housing. Provision of age-restricted housing with special design features is in keeping with the goals and objectives of the Town of Cheshire Plan of Development and Conservation to provide a balance and variety of housing types and styles, offering a wide choice to the prospective resident and accommodating the needs of various income levels. For diverse housing options, recognizing the unique and special needs of the elderly of Cheshire. A further purpose is to promote benefit to the general community by encouraging the preservation of land necessary for recreation and open space needs of the town. You will hear later in the presentation a comparison that shows you that the amount of open space that will be provided if this development is approved is significantly greater than if it were a conventional subdivision. The first part of the application requires a zone change. And it has to be, if the commission does not approve the zone change, then the rest of the applications cannot be approved. It's called an AR for age restricted overlay zone. And it's very similar. Some of you have been through the special design district and that goes in the town of Cheshire, and also the interchange zone. Both have provisions, regulations that require first a zone change and then approval of the plans if the zone changes are approved. A zone change is regulated by section 70 and 26 of the town zoning regulations. And also section 8-3 and 8-7D of the Connecticut General Statutes. We believe that we have complied with those regulations. However, we understand there have been issues raised with respect to 3 properties on the zone map change. The statutes and regulations that I just recited require that we submit a plan, which you have, that has listed all of the property owners, names and addresses of the property owners within 500 feet of the property. That's to be distinguished from Section 26, which requires that we notify directly in writing the abutting owners, including anyone across a street line. As I said, we do understand that there's 3 properties have been questioned either through emails to me or to the planning office or to both. The first is a house on 400 Sir Walter Drive. It's property of Lisa and Christopher Plumley. A corner of the property is shown within what's purported to be the 500-foot boundary. To get these lists, we go to the GIS system, which is basically a duplication of the assessor's records, and you can get a list of the property owners within 500 feet, 100 feet. While the Plumley property is shown as within the black dotted line, it is actually 615 feet from the property that's subject to the zone change application. As a result of that, it's not necessary that they be listed on the map. I do have an exhibit I'd like to pass out to the commission and introduce.
Okay, thank you.
There's 15 copies here, and there's 5 copies that someone from the public would like to look at. Can we just pass these down?
Sure.
A little faster. When you get to look at the exhibit, you'll see a map of taken from the GIS system. It shows in a red solid line. It'd be page 2. It's labeled Exhibit A. It shows in a red solid line the property that's the subject of this application. And in the red dotted line, it measures off the 615 feet to the Plumley's property on Sir Walter Drive. The second issue was raised to me by an email from David Schrum saying that his name was not listed on the map. And he is correct about that. Even though his house is within the 500 feet. However, the assessor's map, the assessor's information does not list his name. Where it says owner, if you go to Exhibit B, at the top right-hand side, it says NA. I've assumed that that means not available. And then if you go, and that's the assessor's, if you go on the assessor's records, what you see is this blank paper. The GIS list is the second page, which shows Exhibit B continued, which shows that the name is not available or not applicable. The map itself, the zone map change, does have parcel 52 shown, and it does have the address of parcel 52 on it. It just does not have a name to list. And we submit that the information that's on the map is correct. The third one is 635 Wallingford Road. It's land property of Laura and Troy Clark. The property is a rear lot. It's located more than 500 feet from Wallingford Road. It's on an access easement to Wallingford Road, or as I said, it's a rear lot, which you're familiar with. As such, they do not own property within 500 feet. And there is an exhibit that shows a portion of the GIS map, which you can clearly see. It's more than 500 feet. And then there's a photograph of their driveway also. So we believe that the issues raised with respect to those properties are not issues, and that the information submitted, especially pursuant to Section 26, which says that we have to make a good faith effort to produce all of the names and addresses. We believe that we've done that. And that's the people within the 500 feet do not get an actual notice. There's no requirement that anything be mailed to them. It's on the map for the commission's use in taking a look at what the neighborhood is. So with respect to a zone map change to an age-restricted overlay zone, if you were to approve this, you would have to make sure that it is not in conflict with the plan of conservation and development. I have another exhibit that I'd like to pass out. It is a portion of the Town of Cheshire Plan of Conservation and Development. At the beginning of my presentation, I read the preamble to section 43.4. If you look at page 21, which is an exhibit here, there's language in the plan of conservation of when the existing regulation was passed, the different plan of conservation and development. The current conservation and development basically carries forward those same ideas and talk about providing a diversity of housing, talks about the change since the last plan of conservation and development, how Cheshire's population is becoming older and wanting to live in smaller households. And so there's several sections there that promote and encourage higher density development with that results in lower impact and a diversity of housing types. On page 23 at the very top, there's the Plan of Conservation Development says, the 2002 Plan of Conservation Development states that the principal residential goal is to encourage a balanced growth that is compatible with our infrastructure, to preserve the semi-rural nature of the community, and to provide a variety of housing types which offers a choice to meet the needs of various income levels and lifestyles. This language is nearly echoed in the text of Connecticut General Statute 8-23. And the important part is, and these policies are also a principal goal of this plan, which is the current plan of conservation and development. There is also, there's the concept in the plan of conservation and development talks about encouraging cluster development, encouraging changes to the current cluster subdivision regulation. But the principle behind that, again, is to encourage higher density, lower impact. And you'll see in the engineering presentation that obviously this is a higher density, but it in effect has a lower impact on the property itself. When adopting section 43.4, the commission then decided that these types of housing would be allowed, subject to meeting the terms of the regulation, in all of the residential zones. They're allowed in R20A, R20, R40, or R80. The property that's subject to this these applications is an R40 zone. So at the time that we file for a zone change, we file for a preliminary plan of development. And you have that application and you will see the plans that comprise that application. There is a provision that if the overlay zone and preliminary plan are approved, we would come back with a final development plan. You do have before you a final development plan. The engineering plans and details have been developed to the extent that they would qualify for a final plan of development. I think whether or not the commission is prepared to fully entertain that and vote on that might not be determinable until you've seen the plans themselves. If the commission does not think that that's appropriate, then we would withdraw that part of the application and come back with a final development plan. One of the things you need to keep in mind with respect to the location of this application is within the plan of conservation and development. Wallingford Road is considered a collector street. The ranking of streets in the plan goes from arterial streets, which are basically Route 10, West Main, basically the state highways that run through Cheshire. The collector streets are intended to collect the traffic from the neighborhoods and bring that traffic to the arterial roads. They're obviously of a higher degree of traffic, and that will be discussed. With that, I would like Andrew Quirk from Cratchit and Jones Associates to go over the site plan, some of the elevations of the and rendering respect to the houses, and certainly answer questions about the application itself. If anyone has any questions of me, I can answer them now, or we can do them all at once later on. Andrew? You can take this out, or however you want to do it.
Good evening, Chair, Commission members. My name is Andrew Quirk, professional engineer and principal with Kratzer Jones and Associates, a firm located in Milldale, Connecticut, 1755 Meriden Waterbury Road. This evening, I will talk to you about the site plans as they're developed, the existing conditions, the site plan development, utilities, stormwater, the conventional subdivision, and open space outlined within the application materials. So the parcels before you are two parcels. The first shown on E1 of your set is 648 Wallingford Road, which is an 18.94 acre parcel consisting of a house and driveway located off of Wallingford Road. To the north edge of that property is an area of wetlands that was field delineated and located. The flags were located by Kratzer Jones survey. Adjacent to that same wetlands on sheet E2 is shown the second parcel, which we'll refer to as the Tallmadge Road parcel, which is an additional 5.13 acres. All of the development plans will look at these two properties in unison together for a total of 24.07 acres. Within those 24 acres, there are approximately 3.58 acres of wetlands. We did take an approach with this application to go through wetlands first. There's various ways that this application could have proceeded, where we could have sought the zone change first and then gone to wetlands. But we felt it was in the best interest of the project and presenting it to you that we go to wetlands first for the wetland application. And as part of that, as was discussed, the plans have been developed to a final development stage, in part to have a complete wetland application, all of the grading, utilities, and all of the construction documents are completed at this stage. And I think that may give you a fuller picture of the completed project in addition to the zone change applications. The wetland application was for a sewer crossing of the existing wetlands. That is shown best on sheet G2, which is a detailed grading plan that shows the sewer line crossing close to the narrowest point of the wetlands. We did receive approval from the Wetland Commission for the 1772 square feet of a temporary wetland disturbance. That area would be restored. I'll talk about that along with the open space a little bit later in the application, as well as the upland review area disturbance that was also approved for the 11,160 square feet of upland review area disturbance associated with grading and rear yards associated with the units. And I'll talk about the utilities a little bit later as it relates to the sewer crossing. The plans were developed in accordance with the regulations that Attorney Fazone mentioned for the ARPRD type development within the AR zone. The calculations for the density and requirements for that are shown on sheet S1. Again, the total parcel area or subject area for the two parcels is 24.07 acres. And with that calculation, there's a deduction for slope areas and wetland areas, the 3.5 acres of wetlands, resulting in a total development of 22.25 acres. And that allows for 40 units per your regulations of this type of development. The plans before you do show 40 units, along with the required street line setback of 100 feet. So the first units shown from Wallingford Road are over 100 feet setback from the right-of-way of Wallingford Road, which is to the left on the sheet. Let me know if I should turn this. I was trying to position it halfway. Okay. Okay. Would- would you- Yeah, I do have that. Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I'm happy to move this forward if you have those there, if there's a better positioning. Okay. See if I can do it without it collapsing here. Right here? Okay. And then I'll just refer to what the sheets are that I'm showing. Did you have them?
Does everybody see that?
So again, continuing with the standards, the 100-foot setback from Wallingford Road, the street line setback, which we comply with, the 25-foot property line setback to all the units has been provided, as well as a minimum of the 20-foot building separation between each of the units. The layout of that you have before you on sheet S1 depicts access through Wallingford Road, again, that being the a better access in terms of not crossing wetlands and having the wetland disturbance, and collecting to the roadway hierarchy system that was described. We connect with a 24-foot wide road with a curb and walk on one side, the curb there to protect the pedestrians on the walkway on one side, and the other side would be curbless. We tried to employ as many low impact development standards as we could, one of those being curbless roadways on a relatively flat site like this to promote groundwater recharge and maintaining the same patterns of runoff on the site. The roadway system has a curvilinear design to create some variety through the site, as well as a large turnaround area at the end. We've been working with the fire department, and it complies with a proper turnaround for their ladder truck. There'll be a landscaped area there, including a gazebo and central focus area, as well as being an area that does accommodate the ladder truck turnaround within the property. We've included a landscape plan that includes perimeter buffer plantings, as well as fencing along the easterly property line where it abuts the Charles Drive residential neighborhood. There's also white pines that are shown and proposed in areas to provide screening between the development and the perimeter. All of the existing trees along, there's a stone wall on the easterly property line with some mature trees that are with the stone wall and adjacent to the stone wall. All of those are to remain. All those would remain along that property line. In addition to the fencing and the tree plantings that we're proposing. Other landscape features are included on sheet S2 for plantings along the roadway. Although it's a private road, we did try to employ the street tree standard that's used in town, and foundation plantings for the units. The site does have emergency access. Again, we did a plan sheet S3 that shows the turning movement diagram for the ladder truck throughout the site, as well as the emergency access through an existing easement on the bottom of the sheet, which would be the easterly property line to Charles Drive. That turning movement diagram is for the ladder truck, and there'll be a gate at the property line. No, that's fine. Is there something I could
No. I had to explain.
Oh,
something.
okay.
We're good.
There is a gate at the property line, similar to other developments that have been done, where that would prevent those from using the emergency access, and would be power actuated and controlled by the local fire and police departments if they needed access through that. It would be a 4-foot wide wheel path pavement only for the wheel paths. In working with police and fire, they determined that that would be the best way to ensure that it would be plowed, but not be entirely paved, so that with the grass growing in between the wheel path areas, it would still have a lawn type look while providing a stable surface that could be plowed in the winter as well. Regarding utilities for the property, there's water available from Wallingford Road that we'll be connecting to. For the sewer, which connects back to our wetland application, there is a public sewer that's available on Tallmadge Road. We did get approval for connecting to that sewer and also for the wetland connection. There are properties on the Charles Drive area and even further east that have been identified as having that are priorities for extending the sewer to, in terms of having existing septic system issues, where the town has that colored diagram where there's areas that would be prioritized for extending the sewer. And this is an area that extending the sewers could provide relief for those properties in the future if it were extended further. This project would bring the sewer from Tallmadge Road through the field area, through the wetland crossing that's been approved through wetlands, and up to the easterly property line of the project. At the emergency access area, there'll be a manhole there, and then it could be extended further. The portion of the sewer from Tallmadge Road through the project up to that point would be a public sewer, so it would have an easement and access as a public sewer that could be connected and extended as needed. The remainder of the sewer lines would be private and maintained by the homeowners association, including the laterals. And there's another main that runs southerly towards Wallingford Road. That would be private. But the main interceptor, if you will, would be public. For stormwater, we did provide an extensive stormwater management report. We did develop a stormwater modeling system using the rational method and the TR55 for a time of concentration and development of the watersheds and runoff rates. The site has been described by 2 watersheds, with the majority of it draining westerly towards the wetland area. That's the wetland area that runs in the center of the property, and then eventually goes along the northerly property line to Tallmadge Road. The majority of the property gently flows at about 3 to 4% from east to west through the property towards that wetland system. There is also an open culvert near the southwest property corner on Wallingford Road, and there's a small portion of the site that drains westerly in that direction towards that culvert. So we described the watersheds based upon their direction of flow, either to the wetlands or towards that open culvert. In the post-development or redevelopment phase, there is a reduction in runoff rates for all the storms through the 100-year storm. That area to the southwest by 7%, and that's achieved by the stormwater system that has catch basins and inlets and some piping. Although we are doing some curbless design, we also do have catch basins, and controlling that runoff in that direction to achieve that reduction.
Mr. Bowman has a question.
Just for the audience sake, would you please explain what a 100-year storm is?
Sure.
And what the true calculations of our subdivision regulations are for what storm level?
Sure. I'll try
Thank
my
you.
best. Yes. So the year of the storm is the reciprocal, or there's a 1% chance of a particular storm event, and that storm event that would have that probability of occurring is then reversed, or the reciprocal, to be called the 100-year storm. A 4% chance would be the 25-year storm. And those are storm events for this particular watershed. That's something that does come up a lot of times where we say, well, we're seeing the 100-year storm all the time. Well, each particular watershed has its individual probability of a storm and a runoff rate. And we developed that with the model. The subdivision storm and designing the pipe discharges through the 25-year storm. We have designed the pipes for the 25-year storm and the entire system for the 100-year storm. And in that, we're seeing these calculated reductions based on the stormwater modeling that we developed. The other reductions are achieved through a stormwater basin, essentially a detention basin, but like to call them stormwater basins now because they have multiple functions, not just detention. We work very closely with the Wetland Commission to develop a stormwater basin that not only would control the peak rate of runoff, but water quality as well. There's a detail of that shown on sheet D2, I'm sorry, D3, that details the construction of the stormwater basin. There'll be a micro pool that provides a pool area that maintains water quality by having this clean water pool within the basin. There's a number of plantings, native plantings, that were developed through the soil scientists to ensure that that is a native habitat. And so you have biological uptake of the pollutants, you have water quality treatment. And so it's much more than just a bath basin that holds water and releases it. We're trying to treat it and maintain the water quality and quantity through the management of that. That watershed has a reduction through the 100-year storm of 23%. So in both watershed directions, we have met and exceeded the standard for zero increase in runoff through the 25-year storm. Also, to go along with the low impact development, again, low impact developments, that term implies to trying to replicate the natural patterns of stormwater that occur today. Curbless design, for example, rather than channelizing the water, trying to let it enter the lawn system the way it would today as the rain falls. In addition to that, we have groundwater recharge, again, trying to take clean water from the roof and maintain that same pattern where it would be absorbed in the soils. So each of the units would have groundwater recharge areas. The ones that would not have groundwater recharge are those that are walkout units closest to the wetland area where it would not be suitable to do that. We did do extensive soil testing on the site to ensure that they would function properly. And that's all been submitted to the town and to the engineering review. Also submitted in response to the engineering comments were our earthwork calculations, which we went through in detail. But essentially, we have worked hard on the development of the site development plans that it's a balanced site. So there are cuts and fills to achieve the final grades, but there's no intention to have material removed from the site. It's been designed to be a balanced site. And I know that applies to the earthwork permit that's been submitted as well. The regulations do require submission of a conventional subdivision. I believe that's sheet Z1 in your set. The color rendering is a little bit different than what you have before you in the black and white version, but I'll just turn for a minute. Essentially, in addition to displaying the subdivision, stay at the microphone, I tried to highlight the area that shows the area in color is the open space area within the development, and to gray out the remainder of the development. That's correct. There's 16 lots. And you have, yeah, I just wanted you to see just the color display in terms of the open space area being highlighted. It's on the sheets you have. So the intent in part here is to show the area that's not grayed out is the open space that would be part of a conventional subdivision layout. So with the conventional subdivision layout, there would be 6.1 acres of open space. We have outlined to meet the regulations 16 lots, including lots on Tallmadge Road and Wallingford Road. It shows a 1,200 linear foot town public road to provide access off of Wallingford Road. And this could be achieved either through septic systems or the extension of the sewer. The intent of the plan was to show what the density and the type of development would be conceivable as an alternative. Correct. There's there would be 4 lots on Tallmadge Road and 12 off of Wallingford Road.
Okay. Thank you.
Also,
Mr. Gillinder has a.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Is it possible to show what it might look like if it was a cluster zone development?
I do have that. I don't have it on a board, but with the cluster development, there were 20 lots that could be achieved with the cluster type development. That was part of the sewer application.
That would be this
Correct.
handout?
I believe so.
Okay, so this is a cluster zoned
for the, if it says,
summary.
right, if it says
Okay.
20 lots, that's under
Okay, 20
the
lots.
cluster zone alternative.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's 20 lots would be 20 homes.
Thank you. Any other questions from commission members before we go forward? No?
Yes.
Keep on going.
And again, whether it be the cluster or the conventional, again, both of those would conceivably have lots off of Tallmadge Road in addition to the lots off of Wallingford Road, along with a public road versus the private road that's part of this type of
The
development.
cluster zone would go from one to the other?
I don't think the road would connect. Well, certainly not part of our wetland application as it stands
Mhm.
now. So I think for a fair comparison, it would be that it would not connect. They would be two separate, well, not developments, but two separate areas that are developed. So I would presume it not with an interconnected road.
So you're testifying that it's not going to be, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
You're testifying that it's not going to be, or you're not sure?
Well, in your plan, was it
Yeah.
a connecting road?
It was
from-
not connecting.
Okay, all right, that's all we
Yeah,
wanted to know.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Just another question for you. So under the current plan submitted, we're looking at 40 dwellings.
Yep.
Under the conventional plan with those lots that are on Tallmadge Road,
Correct.
going to go back to the submitted plan now. So if you're confused, let me know. It's shown as a preserved meadow area.
Yes.
Does that have the potential in the future to have the houses that would be put in the conventional development on that property, or is it going to be deed restricted where that can never be built on?
It's proposed to be deed restricted and held by the homeowners association to not be developed.
Ever?
Never.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Correct. And of course, certainly as part of,
Mr. Mercado has one question before you continue. Go.
Back to the houses on the east side, if it was the 10 lot development, there wasn't a connecting road, but is it allowed through water or not? Do you know? I know you didn't plan on doing it, but could there have been a road there?
it's conceivable.
Okay.
You know, it was not shown as part of the wetland approval. It wasn't shown as part of the generation of the number of lots, but it's conceivable, for example, with that number of lots, that police and fire could dictate that they want it to be connected.
Well, they would
Thank you.
dictate, if I may, nobody would dictate, it might be recommended.
Well-
And plus, they never propose it to the Wetlands Commission, so it wouldn't be fair for us to speculate whether
Yeah,
they do it or not. Who would
There's only-
require a whole nother level of analysis in terms of habitat disturbance and, you know, the fragmenting of that portion of the wetland. So they're not proposing to do that. Putting a road through there is significantly greater impact, obiously, than a sewer line is, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was something you couldn't cross. That was the reason for it.
No.
Because I know the sewer line's allowed to go through there.
Never asked for it. So we're not going to speculate on whether or not they could get an approval from the Wetlands Commission.
I just want to clarify your testimony. So you have 3 different choices. You have door number 1 be 40, door number 2 was 16, and door number 3 is 20.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to
And that would be
clarify
the-
that, so we all know, and no road going from,
Door number 3 is not possible because the cluster regulations require 25 acres.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that. So only 2 doors, that's it, we're good. 2 doors down, let's go. Okay,
That's a good point, yeah.
who's, do you want to continue, or do you want to,
Yes, absolutely. I'd like
Okay.
to continue. Yes.
thank you.
So I guess making sure to clarify on what's submitted and what's on the record is the conventional subdivision.
Yes,
With 16 lots
Okay.
both on Tallmadge Road and Wallingford Road.
yes,
With a 1,200 linear foot public town road coming off of Wallingford Road.
cul-de-sac,
Cul-de-sac.
yep,
And 6 acres of open space. I just want to make sure those points are clear. 6 acres of open space, 16 lots, 1,200 feet of road.
and 4 separate driveways on Tallmadge Road.
Correct.
All right,
Now compared
Mr.
to,
Mercado's got a phone.
Door number 2, is it 16 lots? Does that need special approval, permit to do that, or can you do that as?
that would be just
No, that's-
conventional. It would
that's
just
just
be
conventional
just a
Conventional
conventional
subdivision, they'd have to come
No
before you.
special permit.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Linder,
So not to beat this to death, but this handout is incorrect then. The left-hand data should be
I
either
wouldn't,
change well, it shouldn't be changed to cluster because that's not appropriate. So it should show 16 houses.
well, there is one that shows 16 houses.
No, I'm talking about this handout.
It's not feasible because there's not 25 acres.
Right, but it's captioned conventional development.
Well, conventional development will not be 20 acres. That is incorrect.
Right, 20 houses.
20 houses.
Okay.
okay, finish with your presentation, please.
So again, the 16 lots, 1,200 feet of road, 6 acres of open space, lots on both roads. Again, going back to the proposed development, which is, I believe, sheet S2 in your set. And again, side by side, it'll show well here. The proposed development has no public roads. There will be all private. Does not have any lots on Tallmadge Road and has 14.8 acres compared to the 6.1 acres of open space preserved. Also, this open space would be maintained and preserved by the Homeowners Association. On other developments we've done in other towns, sometimes there's a cross easement to the town if the town so desired to have that for enforcement, but not to have the responsibility of maintenance, but as another level of enforcement to ensure that it's never developed. Again, with an age-restricted development also, this is a common interest community where there would not be further encroachment of sheds or pools or things of that nature. The limits of the disturbance are set at the time of the development, and the open space is maintained and held. So the part of our wetland application was also to look at these open space areas. Obviously, from an environmental standpoint, the Wetland Commission was very concerned with that. On the plan, it does identify there were some vernal pools that were identified on the property. The 14.8 acres protects those vernal pools. Again, vernal pools are the seasonal springtime pools that are areas for amphibians in the springtime and provide that habitat for them. So those are protected as part of the 14.8 acres, not as well with the 6.1 acres. The sewer crossing was determined to be temporary in nature, that it would be restored and planted. We also worked through the Wetland Commission to provide a walkway access way through there along the sewer line. so that the meadow area along Tallmadge Road would be accessible by walking from the common interest community to that area as well. So the Wetland Commission did, I think, see the value of having that access, although protecting the wetlands, but having that hiking access to that area to protect the vernal pools and the meadow area as it is today. So significant differences between the two developments in terms of the perimeter protection of those, the stone wall and existing mature trees. There's a difference in terms of future creep. With a conventional subdivision, there does tend to be a future creep of the limits of disturbance. The limits that are shown here are going to be maintained as part of the homeowners association. The 6.1 acres versus the 14.8 acres, no town roads, and no development on Tallmadge Road. And that would be protected as part of an approval where that's deed restricted and protected.
Okay, Mr. Picard has a quick question, huh? You can take a question now, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I think I was looking at my notes and
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
he's
does
done.
conclude, but I'm happy to take any questions or.
So looking at this, you have that wheel path coming off of the proposed street going over to, I don't know,
Charles Drive.
Charles.
Correct.
That goes right through people's property that have been living there for, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, there's an easement.
There's
Yeah,
a,
there's an easement there.
Yeah, there's an easement.
it's a 50-foot easement, existing easement.
And what is it now? Just grass someone's yard at
Yeah,
this
but it's an
time that
easement. You can put a
they're
road
allowed on?
there.
Correct.
They're using it as a yard.
That's
I
correct.
agree.
It's a yard area.
With where the sewer is going to be run, could you not put that wheel path along that sewer, which would also be your trail path, and then follow it out so it comes off of Tallmadge, and you're not interrupting anybody's properties on the east side? Since there's nothing going on there, my earlier question was leading to this. If you could possibly put a road there, you should be able to put a wheel path there and just carry it down without interfering with those properties.
So if I understand, are you suggesting the emergency access be out to Tallmadge?
Yes, which is closer to the fire department. They have more access from Wallingford Road coming up off of Academy Road and down Tallmadge. So to me, that would make more sense for fire access than having to come all the way down Wallingford or Wallingford and coming around Charles. And it'd be a better access, and it wouldn't disturb any of the people that those two properties abut on that easement.
Right, understood. A couple things, even that length of this emergency access was of some concern to the fire department. That's why they wanted to make sure it was plowed and open, so to be seasonally open. It'd be a significant distance. I don't know quite offhand, but probably on the order of 800 feet to 900 feet from Tallmadge Road to be plowed across a cross-country path through the meadow, through the terrain that's there.
That's a big distance.
It's a big difference.
It's a big distance, but
Yeah,
what
versus
drives that? There's other cul-de-sacs in Cheshire where there's not emergency easements or
But just
wheel paths.
for the comparison versus about 100 feet with a gate close to a public road, very little terrain changes there. It's pretty flat in that area. The vernal pools and the wetland disturbance with a plowed, potentially salted, I don't know, access way so that it would be safe enough to ensure that police and fire could get through a wetlands would be a pretty significant wetland disturbance, as opposed to the temporary disturbance with the sewer that is put back in a natural condition and vegetated and planted.
But I see you plowing through someone's yard, whether there's easement there or not. If there's other options that are viable,
Sure.
I'd like you to take a look at that.
And I can do that, but just in response that those are some of the comparisons, and we can certainly
What
discuss that.
drives that? Does the fire department say we need that? Where did that come from to add that in there?
Fire department wants secondary access. It's up to the applicant to propose it. Yeah, so
But they don't have to grant that. They don't have to do that. I mean, there's
We don't-
other cul-de-sacs, there's other areas that
be
there's not
careful.
secondary
Don't compare
access.
this,
Yeah.
don't compare this to public roads. They're different. At the end of cul-de-sacs,
Right.
remember, you get an emergency access that goes to the adjoining property for future road extension. Be careful. It's not the same thing.
Rob, if you go down the
So-
street on Route 10, there's a little path to go to that development right before 42.
Yep.
That's the same kind of thing as this.
Okay.
And that's,
And that's plowed all the time
and
by
that's
the town?
That's, yeah, and that's private.
Same thing with Richmond Glen.
Yeah, there are a few that are
And in
like that
fact, we
already.
did model it after that with the wheel path setup that they have. We use that as a model. In fact, the fire department asked to use that as a model for this access.
The other questions, a lot of times you'll see a little rec center or pool for the people that in this development. There's nothing like that are going to show up in the future.
Not on this plan. No, it's not part of the development plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
You're-
I think at this
Does
point,
anybody else have a question for him for the next? Okay.
we do have a couple other presenters. Maybe we'll just briefly discuss
I know the gentleman
architecture.
in the blue suit has been here longer than anybody because he was here when I got here. So he's going next, no
Okay,
matter
we'll
what.
switch the traffic.
Let him go. No, he's been here longer. He was like, yeah, he was like waiting for a Kiss concert out front, you know? Okay. Let him go next.
I know, see, they want me.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Mark Lovely, President of Lovely Development. My office is at 710 Main Street, Plantsville, Connecticut. I'm here a little bit to talk about architecture tonight. What we're proposing 20 two-bedroom, two-bath, two-car garage units and 20 three-bedroom, two-bath, two-car garage units, all ranch-style plans. They will have features on the exterior with 6-inch corner posts. We do 14 different colors of siding. We don't let any two of the exact same go next to each other. All these homes do have front porches. We change up the style of doors. We change up the style of garage doors. We do some stone features on the front that change up the look of the home. So we try and make it a custom looking development. We don't come in and do them where they're all exactly the same color. There is different colors. We don't let the 14 different colors. We encase the corner post in all white. All the trim is done in white. And then we do a freeze board at the bottom that is all white too. So it encases the clapboard siding to give it almost like a cedar siding look. Other than that, I just want to explain architecture.
I don't know. Did we get your address, Mr. Lovely?
Yep, 710 Main Street. Did you get it?
I don't know. Did you get it? Okay. I didn't hear. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes.
You're going to be a 55 and older with nobody under 21 residing there.
Yes.
What is the need for 3-bedroom apartments, presumably with people not going to have any kids?
I just actually built 2 of these developments in Sellington, one 15 unit, another 15 units. You won't believe how many of the family members each sleep in a different bedroom and each use a different bathroom. And then they usually use the other bedroom as a den. Nobody really ever uses a third bedroom. It's usually for a den, for a computer room and stuff like that. So out of all the ones I've sold there's only 1 to 2 person living in each one. Yep.
Mr. Bowman.
You're saying 21 and above, but this would not preclude grandchildren from coming and spending the night or anything like that, correct?
100% correct. Somebody could have a grandchild and come spend the night. We do have people that will finish the basements that they put in for their grandkids to play in and stuff like that, but no full-term living anybody under 21 years old.
Thank you.
Good question.
Any other questions? No? Okay, the man that's been here the longest. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Guled Mahmood. I'm a traffic engineer at F.A. Hasketh & Associates at 3 Creamery Brook, East Granby, 06026. And I've been with F.A. Hasketh & Associates for 3 years. And prior to that, I worked with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Our office prepared a report dated August 26, 2020 that was submitted in support of this application. I'm filling in for Scott Hasketh today, who signed the report. He cannot be in today. We were asked to review the existing roadway conditions and to determine the potential impact of the traffic associated with the proposed development. The site is located on the north side of Wallingford Road, east of Tallmadge Road. So Drive. Wallingford Road is a town-maintained roadway originating at Route 10, extending eastward into the town of Wallingford. It provides 26 feet of pavement with a single travel lane in each direction and is separated by a double yellow center line. Posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. For our report, we
Yeah. All these people speed. They're just telling you they drive fast. The guilt is laughing.
For our report, we use the ConDOT traffic counts dated June 2019. The counts indicated an average daily traffic of 2,500 with morning peak trips of 200 and afternoon peak trips of 283. We applied a 2% growth rate up until the design year of 2024. The volumes can be seen in figure 2 of our report. For purposes of ITE trip generation, we analyzed both 40 single units of single-family detached housing and 40 units of age-restricted detached housing. And the 40 units of the single-family detached housing provided 33 trips in the morning peak hour and 42 trips in the afternoon peak hour. The age-restricted provided 20 trips in the morning peak hour and 24 trips in the afternoon peak hour. For your comparison purposes, if we went with the conventional method of a 16-lot single-family subdivision, that would be 16 trips during the morning peak hour and 17 trips during the afternoon peak hour.
I just have a quick question because I was reading through the report and on page 2, it says site generated traffic.
Yes.
It said 40 unit development has a trip generation potential of 448 trips on a daily basis. I think that's wrong because if you go farther, you're at 251. What's the correct number? On page, this report?
When you say
here.
if you go farther?
Yeah, I read through it and it's a conclusion, proposed 48 restricted development has generated a total of 251 trips on a daily basis. Peak hours, 20 and 24 trips respectively. This report site generated traffic, 40 unit, single family housing development.
Okay, I see the misunderstanding.
But on the other side, it says 448. I was wondering, am I reading it wrong or?
No, sir. So what the difference is, the 448 is for a single family detached housing.
Okay.
The
thank you very
251
much.
is the age
I
restricted
wanted to
housing.
clarify that because I didn't understand that,
No problem. Thank you for asking the question.
Yep. Excuse me. If you want to ask a question, you'll have to come to the podium and ask it. Just let him finish, and then you can ask your question. It doesn't matter. You have to address the whole commission. I'm sorry.
I will give time after.
As soon as he's done, then you could come up.
All right. So to be conservative,
Yep.
we use the single family detached housing, which those numbers were larger, which would have more of an impact in our analysis. The capacity analysis for the intersection of Wallingford Road and the site driveway, summarized in Table 3 of the traffic report, provides us or says that all approaches provide a single lane approach. There's level of service A for Wallingford Road and a level of service A and B for the site access. The intersection site distance was reviewed and found to be a minimum of 425 feet in each direction. The ConDOT required minimum is 390 feet for an approach speed of 35 miles an hour. The roadway is posted again at 25 miles an hour. I am not aware of any review comments from town staff in regards to the traffic report. You have received a copy of a petition from local residents, and I'd like to respond to a few items in the memo. The traffic counts are from 2019. The counts represent pre-pandemic traffic. The counts subsequent to that time would not represent normal conditions. State counts indicate a reduction in traffic on Wallington Road between 2010 and 2019. Our report included a 2% growth rate to the design year of 2024. And the state typically conducts traffic counts between every 3 years. If you look at their state counts conducted on Wallingford Road, they were conducted 2019, 2016, and 2013. In our report, we assume that the 40 proposed units are single-family units when they are proposed as age-restricted. So we are overestimating the impacts by a factor of 2 to 2.5, and we still see an excellent level of service for the site. The impact of the proposal versus a conventional subdivision is only 4 and 7 trips during the morning and afternoon peak hours, respectively. Based on existing and projected traffic volumes, the projected site generated traffic, and calculated levels of service, it is our opinion that the existing roadway network has a sufficient capacity to accommodate the site-generated traffic. I can open up to any questions.
Please, ma'am, now you can ask your question. Could you come up to the podium though, or do you want me to bring something to you to talk? Just please give your name and address for the record.
Judy Kazakchuk, 301 Tallmadge Road, Cheshire, 06410.
Thank you. Could you spell your last name, please?
You fail. Kozaczuk.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The question I was asking was the amount of cars that are traveling daily, morning and late afternoon on Tallmadge Road is a certain number. How much will that number increase after the development? Is it
Are you saying Tallmadge Road or Wallingford Road?
Tallmadge? Tallmadge Road is the main egress between Wallingford Road and Route 68. It gets all sorts of traffic going from one to the other.
Yeah, no, I know it's cut through, but you did your survey on Wallingford Road and Tallmadge? You did Tallmadge also? No.
He said there was, what, 4 exits onto Tallmadge Road?
So, no. So that exit is emergency only, if I'm correct?
There's no exit on
There's
Tallmadge
no
Road.
exit, so there's nothing on Tallmadge. All our analysis is done for Wallingford Road. There should be no one using the Tallmadge.
Okay, yeah, they can't hear you back there, so just if you could answer the question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
So our analysis was conducted just based on a single site driveway onto Wallingford Road. There's
So
no-
your analysis is only on Wallingford Road, not on Tallmadge
Not on
Road.
Tallmadge Road.
She's asking a question, what's the impact on Tallmadge Road?
Well, looking at the expected generated trips, it's so minimal that tracing that out to Tallmadge Road could be possible, but for the purposes of this report, we were only asked to analyze the Wallingford Road.
But even if it was
intersection.
50% of what was going to go out on Wallingford Road, it would be only 100 trips?
So if it was 50% of what would go onto Wallingford Road, in the morning peak hour, it would be 10 trips. In the afternoon peak hour, it'd be 12 trips. But even that is
But for the day, it would be like total,
for the day.
because it's 220, right?
Again, that would require me knowing the directional distribution of the
Okay.
area,
Yeah.
and knowing how many cars really go to Tallmadge Road from Wallingford Road. So I don't know if I can.
So
technically
50%
couldn't give her
would
a
be
solid.
125.
what was that?
125.
Yeah.
If 50%.
Possibly.
Max.
If it was
Possi-
50% of the
possibly, yeah.
cars left and went down Tallmadge Road, it would be a max of 125 all day.
Yes,
And peak would be 10 cars tops.
peak would be 10 in the morning peak hour and 12 in the afternoon peak hour.
Over now. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I just want to clarify because Mr. Stroll asked a question before. I want to make sure that I had this right. So under the,
Excuse me. Okay, they can't.
you gotta, yeah, please, everybody, if you could keep it down.
Thank you.
Let me go back. So under the proposal, under the proposed development, 251 trips a day per day for the total day is the max that you're saying.
Yeah, that's all day.
Yes, average daily traffic for our proposal would be 251 trips.
Gotcha. And for the other plan that you submitted, number 2,
Number two,
call it?
door two.
for door 2, if
It was 400.
this were not to be approved and under the current regulations, you're allowed up to the 16 houses, single family houses on a public road. You're saying that would be about 448.
No. So the 448 is for our analysis. We ran the 40 units that we're proposing as single family detached housing.
That would be
That
for 40 homes.
For 40. Okay.
Okay.
That's
that gives us, as the numbers show, a higher anticipated trip generation than what the age restricted is. So we provided for analysis a case that would be worse than really
So
expected.
basically, your testimony is that it doesn't matter if it's 16 houses or 40 houses, it's going to be the same generator.
Similar.
age restricted.
I can repeat the numbers again. The numbers found using the ITE trip generation, that's the Institute of Transportation Engineers, say for 40 units, single family detached housing, that's no age restriction. In the morning peak hours, you would expect 33 trips. In the afternoon peak hour, you'd expect 42 trips. For age restricted, in the morning peak hours, you'd expect 20 trips. Afternoon peak hour, 24 trips. For the 16 lot subdivision, it'd be 16 trips in the morning peak hour, 17 trips in the afternoon. So the difference between the age restricted 40 units and the 16 lot single family is 4 trips in the morning and 7 trips in the afternoon.
More, excuse me, please, please, please.
I can answer that if that's needed.
Yes, go ahead.
So again, these counts are conducted by CONDOT. This is the same counts that the state uses whenever.
I'll give you one, but I won't give you two. If you want to come up, you're gonna have to ask a question at the podium. Thank you. Sir, you have to come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Me now?
If you'd like to ask a question.
Wallingford Road is Bob Geiser, 860 Wallingford Road, Cheshire. I think you all know me. With the trucks, with the logs, they can't stop them speeding down the road. How are you going to stop? 50 cars go to the hospital every day. More than that. I go out at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's 20 cars behind me. So how is the state figuring out? What are you figuring out with that state?
He said
they're not going to stop speeders in this town,
but
or trucks coming down that.
that's
road.
got nothing to do with the application. He's stating there's 2,500 cars a day go
More than
on that road.
More than that. The hospital? Of course,
There's
where do you live?
2,500 vehicles that go down that road a day.
2,500.
20,
yeah.
2,500. Every hour?
Listen, I live on the bottom of that hill. They go by my house 80 miles an hour. You guys can't stop that. How are you going to stop all these cars? There's going to be 80 more cars on the road with this development. You tell me, what are you going to do? You're going to slow them down? You're going to put one of those 25-mile-an-hour thank you for doing it like we have?
Well, that's...
These people don't want this thing. It's crazy.
But what is your, like, what are you trying to say? Are you saying
I
that-
live there. I'm trying to say,
Yes.
There's going to be 80 more cars. They're not, you think they're not going to come out of Wallingford Road and go down Tallmadge or go straight down Wallingford Road? Wallingford Road's a twisty road. How could it be a road, a highway?
So if there's 50%, like what we've just said, if it was 50%, there's going to be 10 more cars on Tallmadge Road.
Yeah, 10 more from where, 80? If you make a 40 house development, who has one car? How many cars you have?
One.
No, yeah, you have two. Everybody in here has two. Nobody has one car today.
You can only drive one car at a time. I mean, that's right. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that's, for your testimony, you're saying that you just live there and you're saying there's more traffic than 2,500 cars.
You guys let Coleman bring all that wood down there. They go by my house, 100 miles, overloaded, over with, the house shakes. And he knows where I live, Bowman. Don't you?
Okay.
Yeah, we went through this. We went through this with water.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So
To add to this, right? Do you guys put a strip in and like a bump strip so where it counts how many cars or vehicles go down the road?
Well, when we were asked to do the project, of course, there was a pandemic.
Yeah, no, I
conditions
understand
going
that.
on, so
But if you did that right now,
Yes.
right, that would give you a real number of how many vehicles go down.
that would give us a number close to what's real, but working as a traffic engineer during the pandemic, I've noticed that even now, traffic numbers aren't all the way back. Some areas, they look like they're completely back, but it would be, even CONDOT has still not told us whether we can use these current traffic counts as for our
So your
reports.
traffic counts from 2019. So when they do a traffic count, they put the bumper on and you
Yes.
go over it,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So last time a bumper was on Wallingford Road
Yes.
in 2019,
Yes.
it was 2,500 cars.
That's exactly what it was,
Then
sir.
that's all we need to know.
And as far as where we get our trip generations, we get them from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. The trip generation presents generation estimates for many land uses based on counts conducted at existing facilities throughout the country. So these numbers aren't just pulled out of nowhere. We're looking at existing facilities throughout the country of similar size and land use. If there are any
Okay.
other questions?
Does anyone else from the public wish to ask any questions about the traffic? Come on up and give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Thomas Santoro, 150 Tallmadge Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. I just want to reiterate that I do think it needs to be looked at again in terms of how people are going to travel. I know how I travel. If I'm going down, I'm right on Tallmadge. If I'm going to Wallingford, I go on 68. If I'm going downtown, I go on 68, which means the only way these people are going to go, and it is going to be 2 cars per house per 40, which is about 80, is that they're going to come on Tallmadge Road. You're not going to take Wallingford Road to go to downtown because you got to do this twisty right over here,
Yep.
okay, around the town hall. So there'll be a significant traffic impact, as this gentleman said, on Tallmadge Road. And so I do think that that's something that should be looked into further.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So with that statement then, you did say that it would be possible to do projected trips onto Tallmadge for the next meeting. Could we have that?
We can take a look at that. We can take a look at that.
You have a question? Okay. Come on up, sir.
I'm Matt Wage, 669 Wallingford Road. Section 43.4.3C talks about a proposed pedestrian circulation system. And I haven't seen one, and it's a concern to me because, as all these people have said on Wallingford Road with the traffic, I walk my dog on that road. And I have to jump off the road onto the grass. You're talking about an age-restricted, pets allowed facility where people have no place within that facility itself except for one sidewalk to walk a dog. I've lost a dog. A friend of mine's lost a dog. I've lost a cat. I've taken 3 deer off that road. It is not safe on Wallingford Road, and there are no sidewalks, no provisions for a pedestrian circulation system given this development.
I know through staff that we're limited. Thank you. I know we're limited on sidewalks only for the applicant. We can't. Go ahead.
Private road. They are proposing a sidewalk on one side of the private road, Rockstar. So you can't ask them to put a sidewalk on a public highway, which they do have a sidewalk on one side of the private road here. So
We can't ask them to put a sidewalk on Wallingford Road
No.
in the front.
No.
Okay, because it's not going to be a public road.
There's also provision for a path off the sidewalks within the development to go into the meadow open space.
Okay.
And I think somewhere down there are sidewalks on Tallmadge Road.
I don't know if there's any sidewalks on Wallingford Road that I've ever noticed.
Not
Where on
Wallingford, I'm talking about Tallmadge.
By Copper Beach, right? Okay. Okay.
I think Copper Beach has
Yeah,
sidewalks.
Copper Beach has a sidewalk.
Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Ricardo.
So back to Anthony on the sidewalks. So that path that goes to the meadows is on the opposite side that the sidewalks are on. And that path comes to the back of 1, maybe 2 houses there. So if people are going to be walking their dogs, they're going to be walking it through their neighbor's dog yard constantly to get to that path to go back there. Is there a way to have some little path or easement to get there?
Andrew Quirk again for the record. Excellent question. We wet cross, we are putting in split rail fence. That's one of the things the Wetland Commission likes to see, delineate the area to walk. So we could continue that up for the access, continue the split rail fencing, or through demarcation, show that connection to the roadway system. But at the crossing of the wetlands, it's demarcated with there's a floating, it's called a floating bridge because it doesn't have a foundation system. And there's split rail fencing to delineate where to walk. So we could certainly continue that. But I do want to say that in the pedestrian circulation, we would spend a lot of time with staff and on the design to have the gazebo system, have the sidewalk system through the development. It was, an extra portion of the wetland permit to get the, permanent access through to the 5 acres of meadow area and open space in that area. So we did try to provide as many internal things for pedestrian access and circulation.
More concerned with the people from this development going out onto Wallingford Road and going down
Understood.
Tallmadge. So,
Understood.
okay. Mr. Selman has a question.
Yeah, Mr. Fazone, do you have a sample of the HOA bylaws that you're going to be, maybe not for tonight, but on the next meeting?
Do you have a model? Yeah, there is a model we could bring in and introduce it.
Perfect, thank you.
I don't know, Mr. Brocato, when you were talking about the Stone Gate, the track driveway, did you answer a question or comment that the town plowed that? No, it's the homeowners association keeps it plowed. Just as if the homeowners association would keep the path plowed out to Charles.
So they open the gate and then plow out to Charles?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bowman has a quick question. Go on, Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, the same emergency access way exists on Quarry Village, and that is plowed by the homeowners association also. And looking at the map, S2, the sidewalk stops at the edge of this property on Tallmadge Road, and it's owned by the Tallmadge Crossing Homeowners Association. So there is, if they walk down the path through the meadow, there is sidewalks right off of that property.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yep. I just need a clarification because when I look at S1 and S2, I do see on S2 the nature trail access. And then on S1, to the left of that, if you're looking at it, it shows the pathway that you're talking about. How does that pathway get over to the nature trail access?
The other way.
So on sheet S1, between units 25 and 27, there's the tree clearing line that's shown along with the split rail fence. That is the nature trail access right there. And then on S2, if you look at the tip of the leader, it shows the same tree clearing and opening. That's the same location.
Okay, so the path is going to go between 25 and 27. What is that between 21 and 23 on S1?
Oh, that's an excellent question. That's a maintenance access way to the stormwater basin.
Okay.
It's going to be grass to support the grass to grow through it, so that the homeowner association can maintain the stormwater basin.
Gotcha. Just a recommendation. I mean, on the map, you might want to show that trail between 25 and 27 because, again, past there it shows it, but in between, there's nothing indicating to us that there's something there. I know this is a private street too, so we can't dictate this, but from that sidewalk on the opposite side of the road, will there be a crosswalk or
We can do
signs
so.
or something there?
We can do so. Yeah, we can do that. We can put a ramp and then a painted crosswalk. Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah.
Everybody spoke from that, right?
No.
Because
one
we have,
more.
huh?
We have one more speaker.
Okay, one more speaker. Come on down.
Good evening to the commission. My name is Pat Wellspeak, Wellspeak, the firm Wellspeak, Dugas and Kane. We're located at 55 Realty Drive in Cheshire, and our firm does commercial and residential real estate appraisal and consulting. I'm here to speak on behalf of the issue of market demand for this product. As Mr. Lovely described, he's got 40 units proposed of active adult living. Those units would range in size from 1,444 square feet to 1,610 square feet. And he's targeting a price point that would start just below $400,000, $399 for the smallest unit, and go up to $419 for the base model. What we did was to look at both supply and demand of similar active adult communities in terms of how many units are out there available for sale today, what have absorption rates been at units and at complexes, and what is the potential number of buyers in the marketplace for units like this. First of all, with respect to product, after many years where there was a number of products available in Cheshire and surrounding communities, there's less today. Castle Heights is down to only 5 units left to sell. Richmond Glen has been completely sold out. And Mr. Lovely himself, as he mentioned before, has 2 developments in Southington, Kingswood and Muirfield. Kingswood sold out 15 units in approximately a year and a half. Actually sold at 1.5 units per month. Sorry about that. And Muirfield, when the first unit was under construction, by that point in time, he had commitments for all 15 units. So that's certainly a testament as to the level of demand. If you look at Richmond Glen, which took a while to sell out, they sold out at just under 0.5 unit per month, but they were priced at a higher point, and there was a lot less velocity in the market in terms of selling single-family homes. What we find is that the buyers within active adult communities are typically people who are in the age group of 55 to 74 years old. It's that point where the kids are out of the house, and they're using the equity from the home that they have to buy into this, hopefully in a situation where it's nominal or no mortgage. And so we look at people who are selling out of houses in the $350,000 to $750,000 price point as being the target market for this property type. And if you think back to when Richmond Glen was going through its sellout, houses in Cheshire were languishing on the market. It took a lot longer to sell. As we sit here today, I mean, everybody hears the stories, right? I mean, you put your house on the market and in 3 days it's sold, bidding wars, et cetera. So that's certainly why I think Mr. Lovely in his most recent developments has experienced very quick absorption. And that's the trend that's expected for the foreseeable future, certainly for a product of this size. So again, we looked at complexes to see the rates that they were selling out. And certainly that's indicative of demand. The fact that the single family market is active, so people in that 55 to 74-year-old age range will be able to monetize their existing homes and buy in here. And this is at a rather unique price point because when you start just below 400,000, most of the product that has hit the market in Cheshire historically, whether it be a Stonegate, a Richmond Glen, or a Castle Heights, has been priced considerably higher. So where people are concerned about long-term costs of occupancy, things like the real estate taxes, their association fees, and their cost of home ownership, this gets them into a sweet spot that makes it fairly affordable. So that's I'll say the activity in the market and what's moving, what's selling, who we see being the prototypical purchasers for this property type. The other thing we did was to conduct a demographic analysis that was provided in the report submitted to you. What we do is we use a variety of services. Esri is the primary one, and what they do is they overlay GIS or geographic information systems with demographic data that they get from the census studies that are done every 10 years, and they make estimates as to projected growth over time. And we ran rings around the subject property. So we ran a 7-mile ring and counted up all of the units of active adult community housing in that 7-mile ring. And we looked at the potential demand based on the number of people in that 7-mile ring that meet the criteria of being within 55 to 74 years old, having home values between $350,000 and $750,000. and found that there is more demand for product of this type than there is supply in the market today. Obviously, those rings can be run at different intervals. You can shrink them down to 1 mile, you can go to 3 miles, 5 miles, based on the experience of other housing developments that have sold out. We use 7 miles as the ring, and I'll say the assumption, and this is from AARP and the National Investment Center for Seniors, is that you're going to get 70% of your purchasers in a development like this coming from within that primary market area. So the total number of units that are in the market today is is 1,060. The total demand within the primary market area is 1,367 units. So there is an unserved capacity here. And given what we're seeing in terms of other developments selling out quicker and quicker all the time, I think it bodes well for the fact that there is demand for this project. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman? If I could ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
So in my opinion, the proposed unit, that the rendering we see, that we saw before, it seems to be below the size of the two big developments that are near the proposed application. For example, Copper Beach and Tamarack. So have you guys looked into possibly building larger units at higher price points and possibly reducing the amount of houses in the development to arrive at, let's say, larger houses on fewer lots and still achieve the same profit?
We've looked at that. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, we have looked at that. These homes, Mark Lovely again, President of Lovely Development. We have looked at some of these. Some of these homes will go up about 1,610 square feet, up to about 1,800 if they do add a 3 or 4 season room off the rear of them. We did not look at, and we've looked at other developments in town that have sold out that were larger units and looked at the timing it took them to sell out. That was a reason that we looked at this product, and that's why it's been so successful for us everywhere else also. And that's why we looked at doing that here, because there's such a demand. I've actually got calls from people saying, could you please build this in Cheshire? We'd love to have it. Just like a perfect example, I have 16 names right now that are interested in these style units because there's nothing like this in town. That's why we looked at doing it.
But it would seem to me that if you reduce the amount of homes in the development, let's say, just for argument's sake, from 40 down to 30, and had 30 larger lots, larger houses, possibly selling for 500. I'm just throwing numbers out, but selling for 500 or 600, I think the demand is there for these type of houses too.
We could look into it.
Why not do that to try to maintain the size of the homes that are surrounding this development?
We could look at that. We definitely could look into that.
Okay, I like to get to the public because it's 9:30 right now, and I like to have the public come up and ask their questions. So if you want to form a line, and please come up one at a time, give your name and address for the record, and please try and keep it under 3 if you can.
My name is Mary Helming, and I live on.
Hold on 1 second. I want to make sure that she gets your name. You got it?
Mary Helming. I live on 313.
Spell your last name, please.
Helming. I live on 313 Sir Walter Drive in Cheshire.
Thank you.
I want to say that this is outrageous, and all of these people here who are my neighbors are here because you're destroying the quality of our neighborhood. We moved to this area so we could have a peaceful, quiet area. We have lovely properties. People take great care of it, and nobody wants this. That's why you have these people here. And I think it's for greed alone. And And I think that there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about that nobody has brought up. Our whole area loses electricity at the end of the town very frequently when there is a storm, when there are problems, and we are among the last to get restored. You put 40 more houses in there, and that's going to be even more of a drain on the electricity.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
How would this development destroy your property?
Because we move to where we live, because we have nice, large estates, people take good care of it, and you're cramming in 40 homes on a half an acre apiece. A quarter acre, quarter acre, okay? And you're impacting on traffic, you're impacting on the roads, you're impacting on, as people have talked about, the situation where people are going to be trying to walk their dogs. Many of us have dogs and walk in the neighborhood, and we have issues with walking out just on Wallingford Road, as people have attested to. This is not the right place for this housing. I'm sure there is plenty of other land. We moved to Cheshire. My husband and I wanted to be in this area because we could have nice properties, open space, and you're cramming it and forcing something that all of us do not want.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Get your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Carrie Wachowski, 685.
Could you spell the last name? I
Yes,
know she's going to
can.
need it.
Absolutely. WICHOWSKI.
Okay, thank you.
And my address is 685 Wallingford Road.
Yep.
First, I would like to thank the commissioners for holding this special hearing for us, as well as holding it in person. I also thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. So my notes have kind of been chopped up and it goes to my first issue, which is lack of notice. Many of the documents have only been filed within the 10-day statutory period, leaving much of the general public unable to review the documents. And as of 1 p.m. today, when I tried to access them online, they weren't available. We were coming up with a 404 error not found. So
Well, we're keeping the meeting open until the next 28th is the next
okay,
meeting.
that's
So you'll
good
be
to know.
able to
But I mean,
research that. Next
right,
couple
and that's
weeks.
fine. But we've been, looking everything up, and when
Yeah,
I
we're
went,
not voting on anything tonight. So just,
which is
okay.
good. It brings me to my next point.
We're only voting on brownies and cookies tonight. That's it.
Okay. Attached to my husband and I's letter of protest, we have our petition, which as of 7 p.m. tonight had 205 signatures.
And you want to submit that?
I do.
Okay.
That is more than 20% of the affected homeowners listed on the map. So that I would like to read into the record that does require a 2/3 majority vote under state statute instead of a simple majority on this issue when you guys do vote. So that's first and foremost. And then got a couple other things to say. As I'm sure you guys know, I've been very vocal about this. So I'm sorry, like I said, again, lack of notice. A lot of things were addressed that I have not had time to review. So I'm
Okay.
skipping over those parts. Going to the right-of-way issue on Charles Drive. I'm personally not affected, obviously, but I do hold concern because I believe Mr. Fazzone has been representing Mr. Lovely for this property for several years now, if I'm not mistaken. This plan's been on the works for about 2 to 3 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he performed the closing for one of the homes that are affected by this right-of-way. That homeowner has no idea. He had no idea up until this map was submitted that there was a right-of-way easement on his property that was going to be the access road for this development. And I find that to be unconscionable and unprofessional and possibly an issue to raise to the bar in Connecticut. That's something that I believe should have been fully disclosed. And I do believe, putting yourself in the shoes of those residents in Charles Drive, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. The town you consider home is considering approving what amounts to, I understand it's a legal easement, but what amounts to theft in those people's eyes of their property? That's their home, that's their lawn, that's their yard where their children and their grandchildren play. And it's not for the public good or benefit of the town in any way, shape, or form. It's literally to solely enrich one family. I mean, that's how what it comes down to.
I-
It
I-
does, though. I'm sorry, but it
I-
does.
You know,
There's no
I-
benefit
I-
to the town of Cheshire.
this isn't a witch hunt, and I don't
I
want
understand
personal
that, and I don't
attacks.
want
I will tolerate.
I don't want to be
Okay.
witch hunt either,
Okay.
but you must understand
But like
that
I
this
said,
is
it-
not benefiting the town of Cheshire in any way, shape, or form. An age 55 restricted community, I'm sorry, but town ordinances, state ordinance do not trump federal law. And you cannot prevent children from living in this development. All the other age restricted developments in Cheshire have bus stops for children who live in those homes. It is illegal because it goes against the Fair Housing Act. In fact,
So, okay.
they cannot prevent legally children from living in those homes. There will be 2 to 3. They're claiming age restricted 55 and older. Well, let me get to that point. I'm sorry again. Apologies. And I'll turn around here.
I'm going to give you another few seconds because
fine.
I want anybody else to get a chance.
I appreciate that. Okay, so the applicant states in a separate filing that the town will benefit by not having additional school-age children in the development. This is patently false and absolutely meant to mislead citizens about school costs and the effect on taxes. The 3 other age-restricted developments in Cheshire have bus stops for school-age children, and there's a good reason for that because according to the Housing for Older Persons Act of 1995, which is an amendment to the Fair Housing Act, there can be no exclusion of people under the age of 55 in age-restricted developments. In fact, the only requirement is that one occupant of 80% of the properties be age 55 or older. This means that school children can live in any and all of the units as long as there is one aged 55 or older resident in 32 of the proposed 40 units. This simply cannot promise that children will not live in these units because it's illegal to do so. The other concerns we have are environmental impact. Those wetlands and the entire surrounding area are home to protected species, including a pair of bald eagles who just made their nests on the corner of Tamarack and Wallingford Road. And protected species, I would like to see the impact studies on the wildlife in the area. We already have a bazillion predators everywhere. We have bobcats, fisher cats, foxes, bears. Where are they going to go if they're making their home in a lot of this open space back there? I mean, the construction noise alone, I understand the wetlands are going to be preserved as well as possible, but the construction noise alone is going to force a lot of these animals out into people's backyards. It's going to be a public safety concern. Situations like that. Again,
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's
I'm gonna cut
okay.
you off.
Well, then let me just please wrap up with one thing. I would also like to read into the record your own campaign promises. Okay, Mr. Stroh, I do not feel that Cheshire will be overdeveloped. We have to fight to keep residents in the homes they have now. I will support the residents. Mr. Natali, I believe that Cheshire can become overdeveloped if each subdivision application is not vetted to ensure that development meets or exceeds the current zoning regulations. We do not need a new subdivision on every empty tract of land. Cheshire is a very desirable community for families, and the character that attracts families to town should be preserved. Mr. Linder, we must, however, remain vigilant to protect our open spaces. Mr. Bowman, Cheshire needs small divisions to maintain its youth and vibrancy. And perhaps most importantly, reading the minutes from the hearing on October 15, 2014, Commissioner Kurtz and voting to deny the subdivision on a 3-acre lot on Tallmadge Road into 3 1-acre lots so that a local resident who inherited the property could accommodate her family in accordance with the wishes of her deceased family member, stated that regulations are in place for a purpose. Well, with that statement, we could not agree more. Approval of this plan will subvert the purpose of the zoning regulations and would render meaningless the hard work in the various commissions and planners perform for this town. So we
Okay,
do
thank
hope you
you.
will review this in an objective light and
Thank
in
you.
favor of the residents of Wallingford Road and Tallmadge Road.
Name and address for the record, please. Submit it to them.
Hi, good late evening.
Yep.
My name is Summer Galecki,
Last
My-
name spell.
Galecki. My husband and I own 850 Wallingford Road, and we recently bought the 2-acre building lot on 822 Wallingford Road to protect and preserve the property around our large 30 acres. I had to say the name Lovely is hardly what it projects to be in this case. I'm not on a witch hunt. But the proposal is far from conventional.
Hold on, Matt.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. As Mr. Fazzone stated, this petition and project, if approved, he said it was conventional, and I say it's pretty far from that. This petition and project, if approved, is setting a precedent. It's setting a precedent. They continue to share multiple times this evening about low-impact development. Low-impact development. This is semantics. The impact for Cheshire residents is not low. It's high. If you take Southington, for example, They have shared that they have had large majority of bigger land parcels in this same exact manner. And it wasn't just one, it never is. It's been one after another in that town as well. Cheshire has character, it has families. Many of you have probably raised your own families here. Many times these days, my own kids riding by all the developments going up in Cheshire say, "Why are they ruining all the land, Mom?" I've always told them that they can't make more land, so it's super valuable. It's valuable in different ways for us than it is for Mr. Fazzone and Mr. Lovely. I'm sure they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed, as we've seen today, lawyers and such. But is this what we want? We're all here tonight to say, no, enough is enough. Let us not set a precedent for our community and our children that money and bigger, money and more takes priority over pride, nature, quiet living, and our beautiful community and culture and values here in Cheshire. Thank you.
Bring this down a little.
Yeah.
Jessica Sumala. I hate speaking in public. 1003 Wallingford Road. Suomala. My thoughts are not as organized as the last two speakers, but there were a few things that stood out to me. The first is the number of cars for 40 dwellings, how our trips are only going to go up by 4 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon. I think that's what was said. I just don't understand how 40 dwellings are not going to increase our traffic. The numbers seem ridiculous. They don't seem to add up. I don't know how the study was done, and I think somebody needs to look closely at that study and at its validity. When you're talking about a 55 and older community, I think you also have to look at people going in and out to visit those people, including CNAs, medical services. I personally run a lot in Cheshire Crossing, and I see a lot of medical professionals coming in to care for the people in there. I also had an issue with the number 3.5 acres of wetlands is what was going to be affected. It just looks a lot bigger on the GIS map. That looks like a lot more than 3.5 acres. So that was another issue I had. Our property values and the aesthetics, the first speaker mentioned aesthetics. I don't doubt that we maybe need more retirement housing in Cheshire. That's a possibility. I don't know who does that research, but I just think it's the wrong area. It's a really strange area to me to do this. Again, I run up and down Wallingford Road. I run towards Wallingford. I run towards Cheshire. I run all over the area, and there's enough cars, trust me. And I cannot imagine all these 55 and older people coming out on Wallingford Road and Tallmadge, et cetera, to walk dogs and just go for walks. There's no sidewalks down in that area, which is fine. I don't mind that. But again, like the other person who walks their dog said, I already have to jump off the road frequently. I do also run and walk my dogs on that road, and it's enough. Like, we don't need all those people coming and going. And again, I don't know how those numbers were come to with the traffic. It's got to be worse than that. Also, I have 2 teenagers who ride their bikes into town. And that already scares the living daylights out of me. And there's going to be more people, no matter what those numbers are currently saying. Do I have any other things I wanted to touch base on? Like I said, regarding demand, I'm sure it exists, but I just think it's not the right area. Somewhere else in Cheshire, maybe where there's sidewalks and access to community services. There's got to be other land that this can happen on.
Mr. Tedesco has to ask you a question.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a general question to give people a chance to comment on something. I mean, we have a 40-unit age-restricted development being proposed, and people are talking about, and I can understand it, how this may change the quality of life in the area. But, the difference maybe isn't between 40 units of age-restricted and nothing ever there. I mean, someone could come in and put in, as we talked, we have an example right here in our materials of a 16-unit conventional subdivision with kids and teenagers and cars and all kinds of stuff. Now, is it your contention that this 40-unit age-restricted development would have more of an impact on your lives than a 16-unit conventional development?
It must have, I mean, it has to. I just don't see, the numbers don't add up. They really, I definitely thought about that. I mean, I don't think I have no thoughts that I'm stopping that mansion from being torn down or stopping anyone from building on that property. But it just seems like the numbers don't add up to me. And I'm just saying, I hope you guys look closely at these studies that have been done and these numbers. I mean, before we had a lot of confusion about the traffic numbers. And I mean, isn't that what was said, a 4-trip difference? 4?
Yeah. Oh, stop, please, stop. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to the next person.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's 3 minutes. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
There are a few issues that.
Your
have
name
not
and
been-
address for the record,
Oh,
please.
Anthony Marsh,
Yep.
685 Wallingford Road,
And the spelling on your last is,
Marsh.
thank you. What
There's
was
some
that?
issues that have not been addressed.
Did you get the address?
Is the pavement going to consist of reclaimed asphalt? If so, it's been shown that it leaches numerous contaminants into the ground and into the groundwater. That's one issue. It's bound to affect the wetlands in one way or another. Any impermeable surface is going to have overflow into that area. It's inevitable. It's going to be, it could be an environmental mess.
Okay.
Aside from that, what's going to happen if that does happen, if it negatively affects that? I want to ask the members of the board, if it negatively impacts that environmental area, will you people come to my home, look my 5-year-old and 3-year-old grandchildren in the eyes and say that you hastened the demise of the wetlands? That's it.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Hank Bolden, Bolden.
And your address, please.
I live at 369 Charles Drive.
Thank you.
That number is significant because that so-called access road is what is proposed to run right through my property. So I have something personal about that. I haven't lived there. Well, I bought the house in January 20. So I'm not so familiar with the area as much as the other folks here. But that being said, my issue is perhaps more personal than something else, because that key access road runs directly through my property, and I'm in opposition of anything that's connected with this development. Thank you.
Thank you. Special friend, Mr. Kaders.
When you purchased the property, was there title search done on the house?
Was there what?
Was there title search?
I have title insurance, yeah.
No, was there a title search?
I can't say yes or no.
Title insurance has got a title search.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But in addition to that, the attorneys for this concern are the same group who represented me in my purchase of this property.
Were you not aware of the easement that was on your property?
I was aware as to what I read, but I never signed a waiver about the easements. Never presented to me, never signed it.
Was it not on your deed when you signed it?
Beg your pardon?
Was it not on your deed when you accepted it?
I didn't sign any waivers.
Name and address for the record, please.
Mark Hall, 140 Tallmadge Road. So I live on Dawson Lane, which is off a private road off of Tallmadge, which is due north of 648. Wallingford Road, and my property does not abut it, but it attaches to the Tallmadge Crossing wetlands that are behind it. I've lived at this property for 13 years now, and I can tell you it's only getting wetter back there. The wetlands that are naturally connected to the Kurtz property and, flow through behind my property, down between the Copper Beach Association property and the Tallmadge Road residents before they cross the road and into the Housatonic River watershed and so forth. I'm very concerned that when this property goes in, contrary to anything that's been stated in the plans, as we see the water increasing and the wetness of our properties increasing year after year, that it won't get worse. I want to know what percentage of that water is going to flow onto and near my property and how it's going to impact the quality of the life of myself and my neighbors. And I can only expect that it'll get worse. My property is downhill from that property. There's a grade. You can look at the topography. Also, as somebody else that was speaking noted, the wetlands that you can see on the GIS, when you look at that property at 648, look a heck of a lot more. It looks like a third of the property, not 3 acres. And I don't understand how putting in 40 homes, the associated roadways, sidewalks, driveways, roofs, porches, etc., is not going to create significant runoff. It's something I've experienced before in my life in this town where development has caused water problems for my family. In fact, in 1987, Mr. Kurtz's last property, developed by Mr. Bowman, Devonwood, created a significant watershed issue for many of the residents on Moss Farms Road. It took several years to get it resolved, and the town was not open to and supportive of that until well into that process. And so I'm very concerned, and I want this Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as IWWC, to take another look at this and confirm and prove that there won't be issues. To the traffic comment, living on Tallmadge Road, the comments that a previous speaker made, I don't look like it, but I run on that road too. It's dangerous, but we don't have sidewalks. There aren't a lot of other places to go. One of the most treacherous parts of it is from the corner of Tallmadge down to Sir Walter, and it's only going to get worse with these homes. I don't see how 40 homes fits the fabric of the neighborhood or is a good thing for our neighbors. Thank you.
Thomas Santoro, 150 Tallmadge Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. I live next to Mark. I have many of the same concerns that he has. I have a significant portion of my property, which is now wetlands, which I consider beautiful, an important part of my property. There is no way that you can convince me that there will be not some impact as a result of this to those wetlands, positive or negative, in terms of the water flow. I have not seen any study with regard to that tells me what's going to happen to that water level, as well as the comments that were made before to the fauna and the flora in that area. One of the things I've had today is I think we had more questions that need to be answered and researched more thoroughly. There's no, it was said earlier that this somehow would meet some of the objectives of the town of Cheshire management of our property and land. That is so far from the truth. I don't know what else to say. Okay. People do not come here to retire. Okay. Last time Cheshire was not on the top 25 places in Connecticut to retire. Okay. It's not. Okay. They come here for many reasons, but basically it's two. It's the school system and the quality of life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
And when you impact that, you are damaging our property, our financial situation, as well as our own quality of life.
Okay.
This does not belong in that neighborhood. It's surrounded by orchards, farms, open land. I'm also a dog walker. They don't go 80 miles an hour on Tallmadge Road. I have to admit that. They go 60 miles an hour. Okay. And it's time that we put a stop to this and look at what we want this town to look like. And we don't want to look like senior developments of houses crammed together. I don't care what the colors look like. It's basically it's cut cookie cutter houses. Okay. We don't need that either. And we just have to stop it,
I'm gonna-
especially in this
I'm going
neighborhood.
to have to cut you off because I'm going to let somebody else speak. Thank you. Your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Mongillo, Mongillo, 384 Sir Walter Drive. I've been in this town since, Sir Walter Drive since 1970. It's a wonderful, beautiful neighborhood that can only lead to its destruction by this kind of a development. It's interesting, with all of the wonderful presentation by Mr. Fazona, he earned his money tonight. But I have two children that are lawyers, and I think what they would say that you got legalized sleight of hand. All of the wonderful things that were spoken didn't address the basic problem. You build 40 homes at 400,000 or 450,000. That's a lot of money, and you make more money with 40 homes than you do with what the present land calls for. You said we had a couple of options. We have another option. Keep it as it is.
Well, that's not our option.
Okay.
So that's,
But
you know,
by disapproving this, then you leave it as it is. My only concern is this.
but that's,
We've-
you're opening it to anybody there. You know, that's,
but-
you're.
But
okay.
you have the ability to work in the best interest of
We
this town.
only have the ability to
change the
judge-
zoning. I understand
That's all
that.
we have the ability. We don't have the ability to tell a property owner if I came to your house and told you what you could put outside, would that be right?
I understand,
No,
I
that's not our
understand
right.
that completely. My question to you is, if you disapprove this, then something else could happen, and then we would have a voice in saying whether we like it or not, correct? But my issue right now, is the traffic. It's been, Tallmadge is the cut through. There isn't one person that goes 25 miles an hour in this
No,
town.
that's
Okay?
a law enforcement thing. That's
I
nothing
understand
to
that,
do with
but
us.
I'm trying to make a point, sir.
No.
The point is that the more cars you put on the road, the more volume you have, and the more traffic you have, and the potential for a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Wallingford Road now, with that the hospital and that senior home at the base, Wallingford to Cheshire,
Gaylord.
has increased the traffic on Wallingford Road. About 18 months ago, I read in the Cheshire Herald that the sewer commission was having difficulty because it was almost at capacity. What did 40 new homes do? All of a sudden, that problem has been solved? Same thing with the electricity. Goes out, we're the last ones to be served.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, I think, you can't tell anybody how to use their property. But in this sense, using that land for 40 more homes is detrimental to the town of Cheshire, and it's detrimental to the people who live in that neighborhood.
Mr. Bowman wants to address it.
Mr. Mongillo, thank you for your service.
Oh,
And Semper Fidelis.
Semper Fi, Mac.
Okay, now I did sit on the Water Pollution Control Commission for many years. I do want to tell you that we have one of the most modern sewer plants in the state of Connecticut,
Right.
just updated.
It has been updated.
It has been
And
updated.
it can serve these
It-
40 homes as well as all the new
but
developments.
it's running at about 60% capacity.
Okay.
It's not running at 100%. It's not running at 80%. It's running at about 60% and maybe even a little bit lower. So I do want to let you know that someone telling you it runs at 100%. It runs at 100% possibly during heavy rainstorms where there's infiltration, but they're working on that. But on an average daily basis, it's running at about 60%.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, name and address for the record, please.
Laura Clark, CLARK, 635 Wallingford Road. I was one of the people that was left off the original list. And my driveway, which is an easement, either way, it leads to a residence. And so I don't know what the commission's rules are on, what was it, 500 feet, Mr. Fasano, he said. I think that if there's a driveway that goes to a residence, I think we should be notified. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't read the Cheshire Herald this morning or the Citizen. So number one was just notification. Come on, I'm going to be right across from unit number 1. And I wouldn't have known unless I picked up the paper. Number 2 is I check my mail and I have to quickly duck to not get run over. So just to the traffic thing, I agree with that. My potbelly pig got across the road of Wallingford Road somehow onto the Kurtz's property. And thanks to the lovely animal control officer, he was like, I don't know how he survived walking across that road because he was a small little guy at the time. But my point is 40 houses, just like let that sink in. 40 on 12 acres, literally. That's a lot. Okay. My house is on 6 acres. And sometimes I feel like my house is too big, but 40 houses. That's a lot. Pheasants, foxes. I have chickens. I have a fox problem. I mean, imagine all that open land gone. Just let that sink in.
Thank you, Laura. Great. Yeah. You got 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
Well, it's gonna, don't worry,
It'll take him that long to say his name.
I'm the no-name person at 369 Sir Walter Drive that doesn't appear on the assessor's map, but I've been paying taxes every year since 1978. So even though I have no name, I'm pretty sure that people will be able to find out who lived at 369. But I will forgive Attorney Fazone for that problem, and we can move on. Mr. Bolden was up here, the gentleman that just moved to Cheshire within the past year, and he moved to Charles Drive. And he did not realize, or he was not told, or he didn't, maybe he should have read all the legal documents. But he used the attorney that was recommended to him by his real estate agent. He did not have a separate attorney. You never enter a transaction without 2 attorneys, one on one side and one on the other. He trusted the process and away you went. Well, lo and behold, there is an easement. And if the vault was open downstairs, you could go down volume 1800, page 211, you would find an easement agreement across Mr. Bolden's lot on Charles Drive. A very odd easement agreement in a neighborhood of 1 acre lots. Why would anybody put an easement across just a common lot? Well, the person who put the easement there was Mr. Kurtz. And Mr. Kurtz, this was in 2003. It was very clear from the day that Mr. Kurtz bought that property in 1987 that he was going to submit it for redevelopment. That's okay. A lot of people do that. But there's an interesting thing down in the vault, a description of the property, which talks about a map that includes Mr. Kurtz and Mr. Matthew Bowman. Anybody hear of him? Now,
No.
I'm sure there's an explanation for this. And I'm sure Mr. Bowman will explain it very nicely, as he always explains everything. But before the session ends tonight, it should be on the record for Mr. Bowman to explain, not just because of this easement, which probably was washed, well, it wasn't washed away as far as Mr. Bolden is concerned, but the relationship there. He's had a relationship with Mr. Kurtz for many, many years, going back to the Devonwood development, which another gentleman said wasn't a very good development with the water running off. Mr. Kurtz has had a couple of things along the line with Mr. Kurtz that clearly are described in Cheshire's conflict of interest ordinance. There's a lot of things about this project itself that we can talk about in the time ahead. But I want to hear from Mr. Bowman as to why he will not, citing our conflict of interest ordinance, section 10-2, as why he will not recuse himself and let perhaps one of the more independent people here sit and listen to this application.
Let Mr. Bowman answer the question, sir.
Did I go over my 3 minutes?
I don't need 3 minutes. Dave, I've known Mr. Kurtz as long as I've known you. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I've known you both the same amount of time. So, Mr. Kurtz, I bought a piece of property from Mr. Kurtz on Jarvis Street in doing what's called a 1031, a like kind in exchange. I bought the property on Wallingford Road, and we exchanged it. Had nothing to do with developing it or anything else, because at the time, I think Mr. Kurtz spent, and I'm guessing, but somewhere in excess of $1.5 million on that home. This easement that you speak of, that we all have a copy of and certainly can get it in the town records, was in 2003, not in 1987. Your ordinance that you speak of, that I will certainly have a copy of at the next public hearing for anyone that would like to read it, I would have to have a financial interest in that, as I am not related to him to the 4th degree. So I do not have a financial interest in the property. I haven't had a financial interest other than a 1031, a like-kind exchange since 1987. Therefore, I don't feel the necessity to recuse myself from the consideration of this subdivision. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
am not an attorney, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn once in a while, so I guess I can pretend to be
Yeah.
an attorney. But I will suggest to you, Mr. Bowman, did you help build Mr. Kurtz's daughter's house in a little subdivision across the street from the subject property?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did you help build the
Hey,
little?
I think you're going over the line
No,
here.
no, no, no. Hold
Yeah, I
it,
think you
hold
really
it.
are going over the line.
There's a
I
no, no.
I think you're fishing.
There is a, wait a minute.
Well,
There is
well,
wait a
there's
minute.
so many other people that need to talk,
all
so
I'm saying
I
is
think
when-
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, when it comes to the
Yeah, I mean, it's
concept of
10
issues,
o'clock. I said I was going to cut this off at 10 o'clock.
uh,
And I mean, if
We'll start again.
we're going to be here on the 28th. Yes, Mr. Bowman can answer the question,
Have a good answer.
and then that's it.
I want to hear what you said. I can't
You
hear
want to hear what I
David.
said? You want to hear what I said? You can
Yeah.
give us an answer to two things. You helped in that little subdivision across the street from the subject property, I think, helping build Mr. Kurtz's daughter's house in some way, manner. You can answer next time. And also your definition, and you just said it again, and you're absolutely wrong. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. No, as a matter of fact, it's in the minutes.
I have it here too.
Aptly taken by Mrs. Milton here, that in November 28th, 2012, at a Water Pollution Control Authority meeting, you said, when voting on an application for one of your relatives, Mr. Bowman informed the authority that the applicant is his nephew, but he will not recuse himself from this discussion because he does not receive any compensation from the applicant, nor does he reside in his household. That is a wrong interpretation of the conflict of interest ordinance. You were wrong then, and if you continue on this, you're wrong again. But I look forward to June 28th.
Okay. Shutting this down. You got a motion to adjourn?
No,
I'll make this brief.
there's only a few people left.
I know, it's 10 o'clock, and I said 10 o'clock. I mean, no, it's, I'll tell you what, I'll be here on the 28th. I'm coming back from my vacation to do so. So I'm cutting this off at 10 o'clock because I don't like where it's going. So we're going to come back on the 28th.
I'll be there.
I'll be here. Thank you. Motion. By Ms. Caderas, second by Ms. Ricardo, and that's it.